All right, they are coming in now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have so many schools coming in, so thank you so much to everybody. I'm also joined live here with a school at St. Angela's School. So thank you to all of you for joining us live to meet some bugs and other creepy crawlies today. Now we do have a little bit of introduction stuff that we get to do before we start. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of trivia. So we can do it a couple of ways. First option is, as a class, you can share your answers to your teacher and they can type those answers in the chat. The other thing that you can do, and I see a few of you guys do have your cameras on this morning, is you can hold up your hand and let me know if you think the answer is A, B, C, or D. So for the St. Angela's class that's here with me today, when we do our trivia questions, you guys can hold up whichever answer you think is the right answer, okay? So we have a few bug trivia questions just to get us started. All right, first question is, how many monarch butterflies would you need to weigh 1 ounce, or about as heavy as a pencil? How many monarchs do you think we would need to weigh 1 ounce? So everybody in the room here, you can hold up your fingers. Do you think it is 10 butterflies, 100 butterflies, 1,000 butterflies, or 10,000 butterflies? So 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which option do you all think? I'm seeing a lot of hundreds and thousands. I see a couple of our other schools are holding up their hands too. Okay, lots of different answers here. So the correct answer for this one is actually B. Okay, so the correct answer is B. So it takes, what is that, 100 butterflies to weigh as much as a pencil. That's a lot of butterflies. Good job. All right, next one. Which of the following is an example of an insect? This one seems a little tricky. Maybe we think all of these are insects. Only one of them is an insect. So do we think it is a spider, a centipede, a tick, or a termite? So choose your number and hold it up. Hold it up. What do you think? If you think it's a spider, you can hold up a 1. Which one do we think is an insect? Oh, lots of answers coming in over here. Awesome. I see a lot of, oh, so he's swaying you guys to think spider, centipede. I think I might have tricked you guys with this one. So the correct answer for this one is D. The termite is the only true insect. So you can tell it's a true insect because it has a divided body into different segments. Spiders have too many legs, centipedes have too many legs, so that's the only true insect. Oh, we're having an announcement. I don't know if it's not too loud. All right, let's try another one. Which insect is the most deadly? So which of these do we think kills the most humans? We got a spooky Halloween question for you. Is it A, a mosquito, B, a tarantula, C, a hornet, or D, a fire ant? Ooh, what do we think for this one? Let me check my schools here online. Oh, I see some hornets, some mosquitoes, some fire ants. Fire ants are those red ants. They've got really strong pincers. Oh, fire ants was number 4. Awesome. We're not sure. A hornet is like kind of like a wasp. So actually, my picture here is a picture of a hornet. So if you guys can see the picture here, that's what a hornet looks like. So the correct answer for this one might surprise you. It's A. Mosquitoes. I know, isn't that crazy? So this one is A because mosquitoes actually spread diseases, and diseases are really deadly for humans.
I always get
and mosquito bite stuff. Yeah. All right, let's try the next one. So how much weight can an ant carry? Can they carry double their weight, up to 5 times their weight, up to 10 times their weight, or do we think it's up to 50 times their weight? Double is the first option. Okay, I see a lot of different answers here. How about online? A lot of 2s. I see Corpus Christi is giving me some 1s. Okay, this one is kind of crazy. So just to give you a little hint, if I were an ant, I would be able to carry a full-size hippo or an ambulance on my back. That's how heavy ants can carry. So the correct answer is actually D. They can carry 50 times their weight. Be like me carrying 50 humans on my back. Yeah, tons of weight. Good job. A lot of you guys got that one. All right, next one. How many insect species do we think live in the United States? Now, I know a lot of us are joining from Canada, and we have a couple from Australia as well. It's easiest for me to find stats about the United States. So how many insects do you think live in the United States? So this is different species, not individual insects. It's how many different species. Do we think it is 5,200, 33,000, 91,000, or 125,000? Mrs. Banilakis, grade 5 class. I'm seeing some 4s, some 2s. I see one of our grade 3 classes give me some options. What do we think? All right, this one is a really big number. This is actually C, 91,000. I don't know about you guys. I can't even picture how much that is. That's a lot of different insects. Some of them are so small we don't even see them. There's tons of them out there. We're going to look at a few of them today. All right, let's try the next one. We only have a couple more. How many eggs can a termite queen lay in one day? So a termite, in one day, how many eggs does the queen lay? Is it 40,000? Is it 400,000? Is it 4 million? Or is it 4 billion? Just so you guys get a bit of an idea, hens lay about 1 egg a day. So it's a little bit more than what a chicken would lay. So what do we think? Okay, I'm seeing some 2s. Oh, I see a couple 1s, a 3. What do we think? Okay. This one is A, 40,000 eggs in one day. Now, just so you know, those eggs are not big chicken eggs. They're little teeny tiny termite eggs, but that's still pretty crazy because termites are small too. So that's 40,000 babies they can have in one day. Probably the smaller the bug it is, the more eggs they lay. That might be true. All right, last couple. How far can a bee fly in one day while it's collecting honey? Do we think it can fly 500 meters? 500 meters, 3 kilometers, 50 kilometers, or 100 kilometers? Ooh. So what do we think? Is it our school, our community, our city, or our entire province? How far do you think they can fly? Some 3s, some 2s. Oh, a lot of 3s I'm seeing online. Hey, what do we think? Hey, you guys are going to be really impressed. Bees are very impressive. So picture how tiny a bee is. It can fly up to 100 kilometers in a day. So if you're driving on the highway, it would take you an hour to go that far. And that's how far a bee can fly in one day, right? Pretty crazy. So they do a lot of honey collecting. Good job to everybody online. A lot of you got that. Hey, how about this one? Yes. You got stung? Yeah, I think a few of us might have been stung a couple times. Actually, our bug lady is going to tell us a little bit about that today because she is very adamant that bugs are very sweet and nice and they don't like stinging and biting you. So they do their best not to. So how many insects can a ladybug eat in its life? Do we think in its entire life a ladybug's going to eat 700 insects? 1,000 insects? 5,000 insects? Or 1 million insects in its entire life? Ladybug, how many do you think it's going to eat? I see a lot of 1 million. Everybody in here thinks it's 1 million. These guys are also thinking 1 million. You guys all think ladybugs are so hungry. Hey, oh, I think I'm going to trick you guys on this one. So the correct answer for this one, that ladybug will actually eat about 5,000 bugs in their life. Yeah. And there's something to remember too. Ladybugs don't live quite as long as humans do. So All right, we only have two more, and then we're going to go ahead and start showing our bugs. So, what was the first living thing to be sent into space? What do we think was the first living thing to be sent into space? Was it a fruit fly or some fruit flies? Those are the ones that fly around in your house. Was it a dog, Laika from the USSR? Was it a lizard, another creepy crawly? Or was it a fish? First thing to be sent up into space. What do we think? Oh, I see some ones. I see some twos. People like the dog idea. Just a hint, guys. Remember, our theme is creepy crawlies, right? Which of these do you think are creepy crawlies? So the correct answer for this one is actually fruit flies. Those were the first living thing to go into space. Good job. Yeah, well, I don't think they just let them fly up there. I think they put them in a container and put them up on a spaceship. They're not that good at flying. All right, last two. How many eyes does a caterpillar have? Do they have 2 eyes like us? Do they have 12 eyes? Do they have 22 eyes? Or do they have 200 eyes? Picture a fat little caterpillar. What do we think? A lot of us are thinking 12. What about my friends online? Oh, okay. I think you guys maybe already knew this one. A lot of us are getting this one right. Yeah, the correct answer is 12. Caterpillars have 12 eyes. So they have compound eyes. So it's a bunch of eyes in one so they can see all around them so that they don't get eaten by birds. Yeah. All right. This is our last question. Okay. We're going to see who the real bug experts are. Are we ready? What does a butterfly use to taste? I guess I could have put the butterfly on this one. That was bad slide making on my part. Do you think a butterfly tastes with its tongue, with its feet, with its eyes, or with its wings? All right, what do we think? I'm looking here. I see some feet. I see a lot of feet. I see some tongues. I see some eyes. What else? I know I taste with my tongue, but I'm not a butterfly. All right, the correct answer for this one is actually B. It tastes with its feet. So many bug experts. You guys did so good on that one. Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for doing my little welcome trivia. I know we didn't come here just to listen to me do trivia. We want to see some cool bugs. So I just have a little bit of introduction stuff to get through, and then we'll get to the good stuff. So first off, I would love to acknowledge where I'm joining from. So I am joining from Amiskwaciwa, Skyikan. This is on Treaty 6 territory, and it's colonially known as Edmonton, Alberta. It's the traditional gathering place and traveling route to many people, including the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and the Nakota Sioux. And since we're joining on a virtual platform, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the traditional territories that you are all joining from across Turtle Island. So having a respect for the land that gives you food, shelter, and life is a really important step in reconciliation and reconciling our relationship with Indigenous groups around the world, because they work as protectors for these resources for time immemorial. We're really lucky to be able to look at a few of the different creatures that we share this land with today, and maybe look a little bit deeper into our relationship with them and how we can help protect their lands and the lands that we all share. Now, just to give you a bit of an idea of how this is going to run today, our live event technically ends at the 45 mark. However, you're welcome to stay on a little bit longer. We will have the bugs here for about an hour. So if you need to leave at the 45-minute mark, that's fine. You can head out if you want to stay and see a few more bugs. That's totally up to you. But I will have a little bit of wrap-up stuff in about 20, 25 minutes before you guys all leave. And I also wanted to welcome everybody who's joining us today. So if you guys take a look, that's all the schools that are joining us virtually right now. So tons of your fellow Edmonton Catholic schools here, as well as schools across Canada and a couple schools joining us from Australia. So thank you very much for that. Now, some of the schools here are already working on this, but schools that are watching, if you have the time and the capacity, you are welcome to create some art for us while we take a look at these bugs. So your teachers can hand out some paper. You can grab a paper and a pencil from your desk. We would love to see you draw your favorite creepy crawly. Put as many as you want on the page. Maybe there's one that you loved seeing today that you want to draw a picture of. You are welcome to do that during or after the event and send us the pictures, because we love to see your guys' art. So just a little idea if you would like to. Now, without further ado, sorry, we don't need to watch this video. I am going to welcome our guest presenter. So Corianne is the Director, Outreach Coordinator, and Animal Care Manager at Butterfly Wings and Wishes Edmonton, a role she's had for 8 years. She also volunteers her time as the Education Coordinator at the AARC, the Alberta Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy. Both these organizations are dedicated to hands-on experiences-based education and the conservation of invertebrates, reptiles, and amphibians, all subjects which are driving passions for Corianne's life. Though you're most likely to see her in a classroom with a bug in her hand, ready to introduce it to new friends, she loves doing field work, especially if it involves chasing cool bugs around the desert, swamps, woods, or a jungle. She documents her adventures at the lab on social media at butterflyab.ca, and she's never met a bug she doesn't like. So that's it for me. I'm now going to pass it over to Corianne. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. And if you have any questions during the event, please make sure you pop them in the chat, and we will try to get to them as much as we can. Pass it to you.
Bugs, because they have something called backbone, and we all know about that, right? So we're going to try and look at as many as we can. Now, although today's theme is creepy crawly, one of the things we want to remember here today is that I don't actually have anything scary or dangerous. None of my animals are actually going to hurt us. None of them are dangerous to people. So that means if we want, and if we can organize it with the class, or maybe some of the volunteers around here, we can touch the animals if we want to. Thumbs up if you think that sounds like a good idea, and everybody listening too. So the first animal we're going to start with is called a millipede. Now, millipedes are super famous in movies and television for being really gross looking. I think they're really cool. And one of my favorite qualities about millipedes is how they feel when they're in our hand. So they feel a lot like moving Velcro. Now, the first thing I'm going to have to do, I'm going to see if I can get closer to the camera and show some of you guys on screen. It's tilted down a little bit, but I'm going to have to dig through the dirt here to try and find my friend. Now, let's see if we can figure this out. Here, I'm going to tilt it. And I'm going to come around and show some of you guys too. So I don't know if you want to follow me with the camera, but what we'll do first is we're going to show our friends online, and then I'm going to come around and show you guys. So everybody who's not here can share. So can we see this creature here? Now, those of you on screen, I don't know if you can see that. Hold on, let me put this down. And apologies in advance, teachers. I might make the place a little bit dirty. So I don't know if you can see, but this animal has a lot of legs. Now, mostly we know insects as having how many legs? You guys can 6 legs. This one has a lot more than that. I don't know if we can see how many. There we go. You know what? This one probably, this particular one, this one right here that I'm working with, probably has between 60 and 80 legs. That's right. But the word millipede doesn't mean 60 or 80 legs. It means 1,000 legs. But it's not very accurate, because definitely this creature here does not have 1,000 legs. Now, this is a giant American millipede. So it is Canada's largest species of millipede. And usually we find this one in a province called Ontario. Hands up if you've heard of Ontario.
My nanny lives there.
Nice, nice. And for Australians in the audience, that's on the other side of Canada, and it's the part with Toronto in it. So we have some questions in the class. I'm not sure yet how we're going to organize that, but we will get to it. Now, if someone, I can either bring this around to 1 or 2 of our friends, or I could get one of the grown-ups who want to come and pet a millipede just to show everybody on screen, and maybe use 1 or 2 describing words to describe it. Why don't you come on up and tell me what you think this feels like? Lots of people think creepy crawlies are all going to be slimy, and it is true that it looks a little shiny. I feel rich as a bumpy. That's right. Very interesting. Now I'm going to see if I can show you guys just a little bit closer. He does have ridges. Each one of these are called segments. And on millipedes, each segment has 4 legs, 2 pairs of legs. So 4 in total. Now I'm going to walk around the classroom really quickly just so we can all see it. Now, would you be able to, if you saw this in the wild, would you be able to count all those legs at once? Too many legs, right? It is true that the millipede in the world with the most amount of legs has around 1,000. And that one lives so deep in the earth, we'll probably never see it. But most millipedes have between 16 and 80 legs. You see how it's walking? It looks like a little wave, doesn't it? It is pretty cute, isn't it?
I like that. I'm curious.
Here, I'll like, you're the most brave person in the class, because you're the most. You know what, we'll try to get a picture of her here in. Do we have time? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we need everybody in person a chance to touch it. So let's hear.
Oh, I can see our classes saying hi to each other on video.
If you don't want to touch it, you don't have to. You can say no, thank you, or you can show me with your hands. Remember, we don't touch anybody if we don't want to do it.
You guys can't see it on the big screen, but they're all leaping at you too.
Well done. Now, millipedes, I'll come back to you guys, I promise. I pinky swear. Pinky swear. It is. Yes, it is. Now, what is the reason for it? That's exactly for that reason. So when the millipede fell off, did it have very far to far? Or far to fall, rather? Not very far, but if I was holding it over the ground, would it be too far? Now let's use two hands, and remember, pet and gentle, be very gentle with this. They do, okay, great observation from my friend here in class. We have the observation. And this is a really good connection, a really strong observation. The legs look like a centipede leg. So centipedes are cousins of millipedes, but they're not quite as friendly for people. Now, millipedes like this one, they mostly eat dead plants. So they eat things like when trees fall down in the woods or when trees drop their leaves in the fall. And we have all of that stuff on the bottom layer of the forest decomposing. These guys assist with that. They help. They clean up our world. So they're definitely part of the cleanup group. They eat dead leaves. They eat dead roots. They eat dead wood. Nothing is as delicious to them as a rotting birch tree. They love that. Freaking maple tree. And so these guys, they don't really have any weapons because they're not a predator. But centipedes, like our friend made the connection with, centipedes are a predator. They're a hunter. They hunt other bugs. So they have teeth. They have mandibles that they pinch with. So yes, it does look a little bit like a centipede. Here, let's try one more time. We're going to practice a little bit. Next time? Okay, with the next one, we'll try again. Centipedes are something that's called venomous. Have you guys heard of venomous before? Animals are animals who have a toxin inside of their body, but they have a weapon. It's different from poisonous because poisonous is something like a mushroom. Does a mushroom have a stinger? Does it have a pair of teeth? Can a mushroom hurt us unless we touch it or eat it? Yes. You have to eat it. You have to eat it, right? So that's in English, that's what we call poison. We call venomous an animal with a weapon, like perhaps a stinger or maybe some teeth. So if we're thinking about that, we get hands up and can you guys tell me about what one example of a venomous animal might be? Other than a centipede, because we just talked about those. What did you have to say? A tarantula. Very good. Yes, every spider except for one species is venomous. So they all have venom in them that they can inject through their teeth, through their fangs. Now, is all venom the same? Is it all dangerous to people? No, most venomous animals are harmless to people. They still have that, but that venom is designed to do things like kill bugs, not people. So you guys know, you guys probably know a venomous animal really well. A good example is a bee. Now, are bees deadly? Oh, they're not. They hurt a little bit, but they're not a dangerous animal.
They don't want to.
They don't. And you know what the truth is? The truth is, my friends, that most venomous animals don't want to hurt people. Their venom is for eating. It's for catching prey. And can they eat you? No, they can't. We're gonna look at a tarantula. We're not gonna touch this one, but we're gonna look at it. I'm gonna hold it for you guys. I love tarantulas. I think they're so cool. They're definitely creepy and crawly. So we're gonna see 8 legs, we're gonna see fur, we're gonna see the furry booty. But yes, we'll get hands up in a little bit, okay? We're gonna get guided hands up in just a little bit. But first I'm gonna pull out my friend whose name is Costco Hot Dog. He was named by a grade 3 class who submitted a bunch of names, and I love when that happens. So if we ever do any follow-ups here today, you can email us with name suggestions, cute, funny name suggestions for animals, and we'll use them. Now, Costco Hot Dog is a venomous animal, but his venom, as his species of tarantula, is not very bad. It's not what we call significant. So it's like a bee. Now, most spiders have a little bit of venom in them, but I could eat this animal without getting sick, and lots of people do. Has anyone here ever eaten a tarantula?
No.
Now, it does sound a little bit creepy for sure, but I'm told that they're pretty tasty and they taste kind of like shrimp because they're made out of kind of the same thing as shrimp. Now, this tarantula here, I would never eat him because I love him and he's a really good teacher tarantula. I'm going to bring him slowly around the classroom if you want to kind of follow me, and I'm just going to let you guys watch him. We're not going to pet the tarantula. Even though he's never been a person in his life, he's always known, because he works with friendly people who are kind to him, he's always known people to be safe. He's never been threatened by people. He's never been injured by a person. He's never been chased by a person. So does he act like a wild tarantula? No, he doesn't. He acts very much like a tarantula that spent all its life around people and doesn't think we're particularly dangerous. Now, I don't know if you can focus up on his abdomen here because I can see something pretty cool going on with him. Now, let's see if we can get close enough for everybody on screen to see this. Turn around, Costco, turn around. There we go, okay. Can you see the webbing? It's maybe if I hold it against my clothing, my black clothing, you'll be able to see it. Costco Hot Dog is webbing out of his spinnerets, which are these two little things that look like fingers on his booty, on his abdomen. And so obviously we can see that tarantulas don't web out of their fingertips like Spider-Man does. But he is webbing for us here today. Now, he doesn't use his webbing, most tarantulas don't. He doesn't use it to catch prey. He uses it to make a comfortable bed, or if he was a female, to lay an egg case. Isn't that cool looking? And there's not, can you see that there's not just one strand of webbing? There's actually about 40. Don't worry, we can still dislike spiders. They are definitely creepy and crawly, but I assure you, just like every other animal in our world, spiders are just trying to do their job. Everybody has a role to change. Spiders are a predator. Beautiful. And so their job is taking care of prey animals that may be This is just dirt because I'm just kind of generally covered in dirt all the time. I work with animals. So. Beautiful. If you guys grow up and work with animals, you'll get covered in dirt a lot too. How cool is that? You know what? And you can see it coming out of the fingers, not out of a hole. So it's coming out of the spinnerets. The spinnerets themselves are what really well. Isn't that cool? He can drop, don't worry. He can fall, so I'm trying to be very careful and keep him over the table. He can fall, but he can't jump. He's not a jumping spider. Oh, okay. Now here's a type of tarantula called a Choco golden knee. I can keep him away from you if you want. Do you want me to hide him so you can't see this? Is that good? I can show you. Okay, check it out. So we can see 8 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. We can also see these little mini ones. Do you see those there? They're not quite legs. These are called pedipalps. Really good drawing. Nice. I don't think he has much of an opinion on it either way, but it's coming out So I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna take this opportunity to show you a really cool animal ability. Who here put up fake spider webs as Halloween decoration? Who here also gets rid of the spiders in their house? Great question. No, he's not. This is a species of spider that is a giant, so he's gonna get a lot bigger. He's probably gonna be bigger than my hand. He's a boy, so he won't get as big as the females. In this species, like in most tarantulas, the females get bigger. They're the big, strong ones, and the boys are the little skinny ones. It's kind of different from like a lot of other animals.
My costume is a spider.
And you are Spider-Man, look at that. These ones here, do you see those? So these are actually called pedipalps, and they're more like tongues, or they're more like for sensing than they are for walking. But you can see he touches everything with them. He's very hairy, yes. Do you think he's soft or kind of scratchy? You guys are right, his fur is a little bit scratchy.
I would love to see our friends online, by show of hands, would any of us hold a tarantula?
Yeah, well, I'm not a tarantula. I'm actually a very special type of butterfly called a clear wing butterfly. And they have wings that are like windows. So their wings are clear and glassy. Definitely something to look up if you guys have never heard about them before. But if you think about it, that's kind of a weird thing for an animal to be able to do. But the reason they can do it is because there's no better camouflage than being see-through. So yes, I'm a clear wing butterfly. You can tell I'm a butterfly because my antennae are bulbed on the end. And butterflies always have bulbed antennae. Moths and other bugs might have straight, or they might have antennae that are crooked like that, like in squares. Butterflies always have bulbed antennae like this. So, pretty cool. Are we ready to see another bug? You have one thing to say. May I take this question? We've been very keen to.
I don't have any coming in on the chat yet, so I'll let you know if we get it.
Great. Okay, let's do it.
My house, there's a lot of big spiders and small spiders that like to crawl around in our house.
That's right. Now, do they spend a lot of time down on the edges of the walls and underneath furniture?
Sometimes, but some of them we did have a jumping spider one time on our house. It was about this big, but my mom had it deteriorated because it was about this young.
Well, jumping spiders are a very small type of spider. They're definitely one of the cutest types of spiders, in my humble opinion. They're very, very adorable. They have really big eyes, and they actually have very cute faces. So jumping spiders are special. They're always harmless to people. We have some listeners in Australia. Australia has the peacock jumping spiders, which I think are some of the most beautiful spiders on the planet. Australia's got a reputation for having a lot of scary animals, but you also have some of the most amazing. And peacock jumping spiders, my friends here and my friends online, peacock jumping spiders, look them up. They have these amazing abdomens that they can raise up like a peacock tail, and they do these elaborate dances like this. And they are just the most incredible spider. They're so cool. We don't have very many here. Most of ours are small and black with white spots, but we do have a few in Canada. We do have a few, not a lot. Winter's hard for bugs. We're about to look at a bug that can't survive the winter at all unless it lives indoors with people. This bug has its own special paperwork because this bug is actually not allowed to be had just as a pet. You have to have a special facility or like a room or something special in order to keep it contained, because this is a cockroach. We all think cockroaches are gross. Now, I happen to love cockroaches. I think they're so cool. This is one of the biggest cockroaches in the world. This is a Madagascar hissing cockroach. Now, is he going to hiss? Probably not, because he's super tame. All of the cockroaches I work with, this is their job. They go to schools, they meet people, they get picked up, they get handled. So he's not really scared of being touched or being picked up anymore. But if you guys met these in the wild, or if you look them up on Google and listen to their hissing, what it sounds like is a pop can opening. Can you make that sound for me, class? And they can do it repeatedly, and they can make it a little bit longer, but I don't think we're going to get that from him today. This is a male, and his name, we call him Coco. And I'm going to pick him up, so let's be super quiet, because if he does hiss, I want everybody to be able to hear it. So let's be like quiet, quiet, quiet. Are we ready? Did we hear it? Did we hear it online?
It's so tiny.
It's really, really little. It's supposed to be scary. So everybody, are we scared of this animal? Spooky. He doesn't have any other way of protecting himself. All he has is pretending to be a snake with his hissing, which if you look at him is not very convincing because this doesn't look anything like a snake. And then he has hard shell. He has armor. So lots of animals have armor to protect themselves. Turtles, lots of fish have hard scales, and he has a very hard exoskeleton. It feels actually like a turtle shell when you touch it. And that's how he protects himself. That's pretty much it. He doesn't have wings, so he can't fly away. He's not very fast. He can sort of skitter, but not as fast as a lot of roaches. And here in Alberta, we don't have a lot of roaches because it's too cold and they just don't really live in the wild. We don't have any native cockroaches in Canada. But all around the world, there are pest cockroaches. There are cockroaches who are specially adapted to eating trash, and that could mean human trash too. So they can live in our garbage dumps, but they can also live in our malls or in restaurants or in apartment buildings, or maybe even in schools somewhere. I don't think there's any cockroaches in this school. I've actually never been to a school with cockroaches, but they're in a lot of greenhouses in Edmonton. They're in West Edmonton Mall. In fact, that's the best place to see them in Edmonton if you want to see a cockroach in the wild. Now, they won't look anything like this. They're going to be really small. They're going to be brown. They're going to have wings, and they're going to be super fast. Like you will not be able to catch them. This guy is much more friendly for coming to classes because he just kind of sits here. We can tell he's a boy because he's got these little bumps on his pronotum. His head is actually on the bottom. This is like a hood. So think like if you're wearing a hoodie, like to feel private or to like, you know, make sure you have your own personal space. All hissing cockroaches have this hard shell hood. It's like a hoodie and it's called a pronotum. And on it, the boys have these bumps and they use them for headbutting competitions. They're kind of like deer. The boys figure out who's the toughest by using these big bumps here. Now I'm going to bring him around so we can pet him on the back really quickly. This is a safe one. He's not a dirty cockroach because he doesn't live in the trash. If he was a cockroach that was coming right out of your garbage or right out of an oil container at a restaurant or living in gross stuff somewhere, it wouldn't be a clean animal to touch maybe. But this one eats like mangoes and he lives in like a beautiful habitat with all his pals.
I like to touch it, but I like the look of it. I like cockroaches.
I like cockroaches too. And you know, if you think about them, if you think about how animals have a role in nature and they all have a job, sure, sometimes those can become pests and they can become problematic for people. But I'm going to give you guys a cool cockroach fact. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There are over 4,000 types of cockroaches in our world. That's their diet.
So while Corianne brings these around, sorry, I'm just going to give a couple reminders to the students that are with us online, because some of them do have to leave in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay. So let me just get my slideshow up. So there's a couple events that we have coming up that I wanted to share with everyone, just because I do think some of you might be interested in them. So this one is, I think that's what this one's muted.
Okay, so this one is, we've done an event on bugs. This upcoming one is on oceans. So if anybody wants to learn about sharks and other cool things that live in the ocean, that's one of our upcoming events that we have. And if you don't want to miss cool events like that, we have a newsletter that your teachers can sign up for. So you just need to scan this, or we go to cgeducation.org. So the same place that you registered for this one. So I did want to do those couple quick reminders. Now, what I'm going to do, Corianne is still bringing her hissing cockroach around, so I'm going to send it back over to her and to all of our schools that joined us live. If you do have to hop out now, you're welcome to. If you want to stay for the last 20 minutes, half hour, you're welcome to stay.
Cool. I'm back. Okay.
You're good.
So that's I was going to tell you about cockroaches. This is about how animals all have a role in nature and how we should consider how important they are. So there's over 4,000 species of cockroaches in our world, and only about 4 are very serious pests, especially here in Canada. And maybe another 30 are pests elsewhere in the world. So is that most cockroaches or is it not very many of them? It's not very many at all. Compared to how many there are in the world, only a few are a problem for people. All the rest are like wild beetles or wild ladybugs or even wild butterflies who are just out there in the jungles and the deserts, and they are doing their own thing and they're providing their own little need to their area of the world. So they're just like any other animal. But yes, it is true that some cockroaches can be a problem because they can live where we don't want them to live, like our trash. Okay. Did you want to? Okay, good communication. Nice words. That was really awesome. Yes. What did you want to say? Yeah. Thank you. You are sneaky looking ahead. But yes, I do have some other cool animals to show. We have about 20 minutes, maybe 15 more minutes. So I thought that I would pull out the most cool and exciting of them, which is, of course, the snake. We do. This is a safe snake. A reminder again about what I said at the beginning. Are any of my animals dangerous?
No.
No. We are allowed to hold it. Now, are all snakes safe to bring into a school?
No.
But do you think I would bring one of those things? No, I would not bring a rattlesnake or a cobra or an inland taipan from Australia or anything that's dangerous. I bring a snake that's native to Eastern Canada, and this snake is called a garter snake. Can you guys repeat that with me? Snake. Lots of people call them garden snakes or gardener snakes and things like that. It's actually garter. And I'm going to show you my beautiful friend whose name is Chocolate Nut Muffin. Now, lots of people are scared of snakes. We don't have to touch her if we don't want to. If you guys don't want the snake anywhere near you, you can use your hands. You can say no, thank you. You can show me that you don't want it near. But this is a safe snake. She's about 21 years old, and she's been teaching kids for her whole life. So she's a very gentle snake. She explores her world with her tongue. You guys stick your tongue out like a snake? Although if we listen, is she making any noise at all?
No.
What about the famous snake noise? Is she making that noise? No, she is not. And that is because Chocolate Nut Muffin feels safe and comfortable with me. She's never been hurt by a person. She grew up with people. She has no reason to think that we're out to get her or harm her like a predator might. And she would have lots of predators in the wild, big fish or birds or coyotes or foxes. So there are animals that would like to eat her, but she doesn't know about them because she grew up with people. Now, if we want to say hello to her, we can hold out our hand and we can let her give us a sniff like this. And I'm going to bring her around, and we can also hold her like she's a little cinnamon bun or a little noodle bowl, which is exactly what she looks like right now. Now, I'm going to encourage you guys to touch this snake because it's a cool experience, and you don't really get to touch that many snakes in your life because I don't recommend picking up wild snakes. Even if you live here in Edmonton where we have no dangerous species in the wild. There are no deadly, no dangerous species in the wild here in Edmonton where we live. All of our snakes are safe. There's only two types. They're both really close cousins of hers. We don't have anything dangerous. But we have listeners who live somewhere where dangerous snakes are. And in those places, perhaps Australia or somewhere hot and tropical like a desert, we do not want to touch the snakes in the wild unless you grow up and you become a herpetologist, which is a snake expert and reptile expert. And you can identify them because they can be tricky. You know how some animals, when they're safe and they don't have weapons, they'll copy more dangerous animals, either in their look or in their noises. Can anyone remember what it's called when one snake copies or one animal copies a more dangerous animal? Does anyone know what that's called? Mr. Policeman, do you know? No, we're just waving our hand around. So we call that mimicry. You guys say that word?
Mimicry.
Being a mimic is like being a copycat. Yeah.
Snake.
So there's lots of snakes that do that. Safe snakes with no dangerous fangs and no venom, who look like something dangerous, like a coral snake. There are lots of animals that do that. It's a great way to protect yourself as being a trickster. And we have a hand up. What's your question, my friend?
My question is, I have a snake at home. His name is Betty-O, but he's afraid of people and he doesn't bite.
Okay.
Doesn't kill a live prey.
And you know what? This is a great connection to make, my friends, because lots of animals are afraid of us. And sometimes that can mean they act in ways that are scary to us. So it's like we're playing basketball with being afraid and we're tossing the ball back and forth. You have an animal that's scared of us, so it acts scary and we're scared of it. So that was a good connection. What was your question? You know what? I don't think we're gonna have time, but I love that you love her that much that you want to go for a second round. That's very sweet and kind. I think she is kind of a special animal, isn't she?
Maybe while the snake's going around, we can get you guys each to hold of your art. We can get a shot of everybody's art that's been worked on today.
But I made one thing.
Whoa, return. It's a little bit slithered, a little bit almost like caterpillar. Next.
I'm getting a lot of feedback that people are loving their drawings online. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Did anyone
look
know
at that spider.
Thank you.
Now, my friend, let's ask one more really important question. Are snakes an insect? Are they an arachnid? They're a reptile, that's right. Now, do they have bones?
Yeah.
Okay, hands up if you think they do not have bones. Quite a few of us. Hands up if you think yes, they have bones. Yes, snakes have a skeleton. Although they look like a limp noodle that just can squiggle in any way like a worm, they have a skeleton. They have a skull. They have a very long backbone that goes right from the very back of their head all the way to their tip of their tail. And they have a lot of ribs. Can you guys feel your ribs? And on TV too, can you guys feel your ribs on the side of your body? They have a lot more ribs than us. In fact, all together, if we added up all their bones, there's about 400 bones in this animal, which is more than what people have. Right? And they keep the same amount of bones. Like when they're born, they have about the same amount of bones as when they're older. They don't grow more or anything like that as they get older. What's your question?
How do you know it's a girl?
How do I know it's a girl? Well, I took her to a vet, which is what you should do if you have a pet like this, especially a pet that has some parts of her body that are really different, or if she doesn't have an ability to communicate with people about how she's feeling. Taking your pet to a vet every year is a really good idea. So when she was a baby, I took her to a vet, and the vet was able to tell that she was a girl. Because snakes don't have any body parts on their outside that you can tell the difference between. Like they don't have long ponytails, or you know, one of them is usually like a lot different from the other. So you usually have to look closer, perhaps inside the animal, and the best people to do that for you is the veterinarians. Because if we're gonna have an animal like this, now this isn't my pet, this is an animal I work with. But if we're gonna have an animal like a pet, we should take care of it properly, right? We should do everything we can to make sure that animal is healthy and happy and safe. And vets are a great way to do that. Cool. Can you feel her slithering? Yes. Now something we might notice is that she has very big scales on the bottom, very big flat scales like feet, and then very small hard scales on the top. And it feels very different. Like if we use our thumb to cut her scales on top, but then feel her belly scales with our fingers, they feel very different. So that's because these big flat scales are much better for holding onto the ground and wiggling. And these little hard ones are better for protecting her body. Better. Now, any guesses on what she eats, knowing that she lives in Canada? She's a Canadian. What's something that she eats?
Yeah, she's Canadian.
She does. She loves to eat frogs. Frogs and toads are some of her favorite food. And that's a really good guess because she would also love to live in the wetlands. What's another guess? Now, is she very big? Does she eat like a full-grown sparrow? No. But if a baby bird fell out of its nest where she could get it, because she's not the best climber, for sure she would eat that baby bird. She will eat almost anything small enough to fit in her mouth that is either very, very mobile and wiggles a lot, or is warm. So maybe baby mice too. And she especially loves fish. She loves eating fish. If I put her in a container with fish for her to hunt, she opens her mouth and she swims around with her mouth wide open, and it looks so goofy until she catches a fish.
No, don't kiss the snake. Don't like put our mouth on it. But that's a good question.
Yes, did you have something else to say?
That's okay.
Do they have a heart?
Yes, they do. They have one heart, and that pumps blood through their body. Reptiles have blood and hearts, much like mammals. What's your question? Oh, that's okay. We can come back. No worries. Now, did I see another hand up over here? Did you have a hand up? Yeah. Was big enough to eat a rat? The answer would maybe be yes. Lots of snakes do eat rats.
Does she shed?
She doesn't. First of all, we live in Alberta where there's no rats. One of the only places in the world without rats. I don't know if our listeners know that, but Alberta is kind of famous for not having any rats. She lives in Alberta. She's from Ontario where there is rats. But I think that rats would actually win in a fight with her. She's not very big. She doesn't have any really strong defenses like venom like a rattlesnake would have. She's pretty fast. She could go fast if she needed to. But I think that if she got in close quarters, like down into a rat burrow, I think the rat would win. Rats have pretty big teeth, they have claws, and they're smart. So I would never want to put her against a rat, even if she was really hungry. I'd feed her something like a frog instead. She's pretty cool.
Does that keep share the skin?
Yes, she does. And in fact, if one of my teacher friends wanted to pop over there and grab a little container, there's a little plastic container right there, and that is full of snake skin. And I wanted to show you guys. It's pretty cool.
I just touched the head.
Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to show you guys on screen too. So here we have the snake.
Why is just looking at
And here we have a snake skin. Now, if we can listen, let's get everybody to be really quiet. We're going to see if the mic can pick this up.
Get at its skin. It's on its skin.
It's crispy and dry. This is the head end. We can see that it actually opened up. When she was ready to grow, like when she'd fully grown a new skin underneath this, she made a little hole in her nose and she wiggled out of it. And it looked like pulling a sock off inside out. This snake skin is now inside out. You can see the back scales. You can see the belly scales. You can see the tail break off. Yes, it did. Sorry, I guess we can't see that. But we can also see that it's quite a bit longer than she is. And that's because when a snake sheds its skin, the skin between the scales becomes visible and it stretches out. So every snake skin's a little bigger than the snake it came from. Because when she's alive, her scales overlap unless you stretch her out too.
Purple.
It's dip dyed, black and red. It's pretty cool. I'm going to show you guys her. I'm going to see if the camera can see her head. She's actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
She's very big for a garter snake.
You notice that it kind of looks like snakes are always smiling a little bit.
I think a lot of reptiles look like they're smiling. They're not as smiley as geckos, but they're up there.
Look on top.
What is up there on top? A marking that looks like a baby. But it's just a marking. Now, for those of you online, I don't know if you can tell, but she has no ears. She has no ear holes and no ears at all in there. So I think that that's a pretty interesting thing about snakes is that they don't have any ears. The other thing that you guys can probably see is that she can't blink. And that's because snakes have no eyelids. Instead of eyelids, they have a clear scale that covers their eye. And it's almost like permanently wearing a pair of glasses. And we can see it on the snake skin too. When they shed that eye cap too. So you can see it right there. Pretty cool.
If it's said,
And yes, we can. This is a renewable resource. So they do it every month. And yes, if you guys want to pass around a container, you're more than welcome to, or a little bit less often depending on the age of the snake. Question. I have a few more animals back there, yeah, but I'm gonna lob it back to you and see how we're doing.
Yeah, we should say goodbye to our friends online. We've gone 15 minutes over our time, so we appreciate those that were able to stick it out with us and stay here to see our last few creepy crawlies. Thank you for hanging with us while we were a couple minutes late starting and for being so wonderful and participating in all of our activities. So thank you so much everyone for joining. We're gonna end the live stream now. Enjoy the rest of your spooky Halloween.
Happy Halloween. I missed some animals.